Hey everyone, we're back and we have our first guest. You already know Brent. Let me add him to the stream. Hey man, how are you?
What's up, man? I'm the first guest.
Yeah, you're the first guest. Imagine that.
All right. Okay, I'm down. I'm down with that. I got a cat on my lap. I got a million tabs open. I'm ready to go. Let me put you on my other screen here, so I'm looking right at you. There we go.
Yeah, it's like I'm checking like the amount of viewers, and like that's a pretty good number. You having in mind that it's like 3 a.m. in LA, and and I thought that we were doing the crazy thing here.
Well, I remember my logic for coming on now is like, oh well, we'll have some slots for the people in your North American audience to see people from North America later, and then the European people can see me, and then we'll figure it out because we're in the same time zone, so it's easy enough.
We're going to combine. So basically, since obviously this is my first streaming ever, I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. I already did one huge one. Stream dropped it like on the second minute or third one. Yeah.
But we're doing fine here. I joined exactly at 12, and you let me in. We're on time. Doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah. We're good. We're good. How are you, man?
I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, it's just a little bit cold here, but don't have much on the agenda this week thanks to making space for Prime. A lot less calls and stuff, kind of making sure that everyone's on deck. The whole team is on high alert mode. And one advantage that we have having people in both Asia and North America, in addition to Europe, is people can check other people's accounts at different times of day. So the Asia team can do a really early morning, here in EU time check. And then people who are in North America can do a late check, compared to my time here. And so we're doing some of that, setting up those cross patterns, whatever you want to call that. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, we had different idea. So people are working in shifts since we have physical office in Belgrade, Serbia.
Right.
And when we talked about Prime Day and creating a stream, basically, everybody was like, we're going to work for 20 hours. And no, you're not. And they're like, yeah, we are. And they're like, no, I'm going to be I'm going to get my ass kicked. Please don't.
Yeah, you're going to get the Serbian labor bureau going to come down and be excuse me, sir. We heard there was slave labor going on here.
Yeah. So basically what happened there, there is one thing that I forced people to do. They were forced to sign that they're not going to work that much. That was a crazy idea and everything. But yeah, so far it's working. And as I said, people are watching this. And obviously they it's because of you. It's not because of me. That's
well, I mean, look at this face.
Yeah, I understand. So do even Prime Day, bro, and that kind of stuff. Did you prepare yourself? What did you do for the Prime Day? Did you have any a list of things that you guys needed to do and work on?
Me personally or the team? I think it's more interesting to talk about the team.
Yeah, it's more interesting to talk about the team. I know. I know that you're busy guy.
Well, like I said, not so much this week. We really have prioritized not having as many calls and being as attentive as we can for the clients that we feel like we need to deliver for. And we have a couple audits and stuff going on, but that stuff's a bit on the back burner because we're really focused on delivering for everybody who's been with us for a long time. So our strategy hasn't really changed that much year over year, but the one thing I've encouraged the team to think about, or maybe the frame of mind to have going into this, is because this is such an unusual time of year for Prime. We're typically enjoying spooky Halloween treats now or whatever, but now we're all in high alert mode for Prime. I encourage people to have flexible mindsets, and approach this with anything could happen. Some things may happen. There might be some crazy run-ups on some products. Some things might be much lower than we anticipated. One thing I was digging into before the call, Lazar, you might find interesting, was data from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Right. So the past 5-ish days.
Year? Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, just excluding yesterday, because yesterday's too.
Can I guess?
Too recent. Sure.
Did it drop for like 50% or something?
Well, yeah, there's some substantial drops in orders in particular. So of course, ACOS went up by like 2.5, and this is for all of our accounts. I'm looking at aggregate data here. So yeah, it's gone up by like 2, almost 3, percentage points. Not percentage, but actual percentage points. And then yeah, orders dropped a lot. Conversion rate definitely took a dive. These are all the things that we expect to see in the run up to Prime when people know it's coming. So yeah, kind of like as expected there. And our approach the past 2 years, in this year, so 3 years total, has been to actually turn off a lot of the automated bidding and decrease budgets and spend in the couple days up to Prime, because we have in the past, many years ago, blown huge amounts of money for clients and say like, we're going to get you tons of visibility before Prime, which is true. But then none of those people are converters at that specific time. Maybe they add to cart and do it later. But, in the run up, you have a serious deficit of orders and the ACOS looks really bad. So our thinking is instead, let's deploy that spend during the 48 hours. Well, it used to be only 24. And I guess it was 36 last year. Actually, I wanted to ask you about that. How many hours Prime really is this year? So the idea is to deploy it instead in that 48-hour period within, a couple days after, because we get that nice effect until, let's say, Friday, Saturday, maybe even into next week. It's not like Cyber Monday, but, it's something.
Like the other day when I reached out to Destiny and like, she was like, what do you want me to talk about? And I'm like, you're a rock star. You can talk about whatever you wish. And like one of the ideas and like her main topic is going to be like days after Prime Day. And basically those days are really big. And like Prime Day is obviously 48 hours like on paper, but it lasts a bit longer because people continue buying and like, people are sellers are investing a lot of money in advertising and everything. So like if you don't have a good plan, you're probably going to burn out a lot of money during those days. But like to have a balance and like be sure that you're like increasing that halo effect and like continuing with sales and like continuing that traction, that's like a big thing.
Yeah. So that's our approach this year and in previous years. Another thing though, I wanted to mention. So if you go right now to Amazon.com and you're in incognito mode, I have it open in another tab here in my many Chrome tabs. So I'm set. It says deliver to France, right? But then I go to the top left and I say deliver to a zip code in the US. I type it in. And it says it's Prime Day, and it has a countdown, 44 hours. Now, 2 hours ago when I checked, it said 46 hours. So it's counting down from 48, I believe. But my question is, like, aren't most people in the US asleep at this moment? Like you said, it's 3 in the morning on the West Coast, Amazon time, even in the East Coast, New York, Miami, all these huge cities, it's 6 in the morning. Who's up shopping right now on a Tuesday morning? So
I'm pretty sure that, like, my perspective, I like video games a lot, and I buy a lot of video games. Like, that's kind of embarrassing to say, but I am. So basically, I'm waiting for Black Friday or Cyber Monday to buy video games. So I'm pretty sure that people that are like waiting for some sales or discounts and like that already know what to buy, they're up at like midnight and wait. For people that are up and buying at 4 a.m., I have no logical explanation. Like, why should you do it? But for
American consumerism gone wild. Yeah, just totally go insane. Yeah.
Yeah, especially because like when you go to a physical store, like at that point you need to stand in line, and like for online you don't have that option. Like you don't need to do it. Like
there's no barrier. Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe there's people who are concerned about stock constraints, because what have we seen this year? We've seen massive shipping delays thanks to COVID and all the related stuff. We've seen Amazon's infrastructure kind of like buckle at the knees, and get knocked down on its face, like thanks to the demand. So maybe people are like, well, if I'm going to order something, I got to do it at 5 a.m. because that's going to put me ahead of the queue of other, Joe Schmo who's going to order at 9 o'clock when he gets into work at his office or whatever on his phone. Like, I'm going to win, I'm going to get the thing first. And maybe there's lightning deals, and, people have added it to their cart and they got a notification, hey, there's a deal, and they woke up and they took action on it. It's hard to say, but there's so many promotional methods that are kind of available and floating around now with Prime. I wouldn't be surprised if people are up super early or in weird times of the night shopping around.
Basically something like this.
if they're watching our stream and they're not shopping, then power to them. They're going to save some money, I suppose.
Yeah, imagine that. So, like, as you mentioned, like, coronavirus did a lot of bad stuff this year, and like it affected everything. Like, even Prime Day moved. It like I mentioned it a couple of hours ago on the stream. Like, it used to be in July, and like that's the time when like initial idea of Prime Day, like, to be honest, I didn't know this. I Googled it. It was to celebrate like 20th anniversary of Amazon. And like the first one was like 5 years ago. Yeah.
I think it was 5 years ago, but I thought it was to celebrate Optimus Prime, the most famous of all the Transformers, and his death.
Yeah. You know what's the funny part? Like, every year on my Facebook profile, I would post a post with like, don't forget why the Prime is important, and with like Optimus Prime that.
I put that in our Slack channel today.
It's so cool. I really like it.
Never forget. Never forget.
And never forget.
Reason for the holiday.
That's so cool.
Like this.
Yeah, and this year I'm pretty sure that there are going to be a lot of problems for Amazon. Like, there are some really big dates, and they're more or less all together.
I think that. Let me say something about original Prime Day date though, because I don't think it's not going to stay, right? It's going to be moved back to July, right?
Yeah, well, I hope so, because this is the madness to have everything in like 2 or 3 weeks.
It's crazy. I mean, if you think about it from the perspective of a normal year, which 2020 is definitely not, but it's like, why would you put it here? It doesn't make any sense. And a lot of people that we know in the community of like PPC, agency owners or high-level consultants and stuff, they were like, is it even going to happen? A lot of us are very skeptical. Like, why would they even do it? And then sure enough, I had guessed it was going to be the 12th and 13th. I was off by one day, I suppose. It's the 13th, 14th. I forgot that, I guess, Columbus Day is a thing. If that's even still celebrated in America, I don't even know.
I know, not American.
But, I mean, I've been out of there so long, I don't know what holidays are anymore in the U.S. I can remember 4th of July because that one has the date right in the title. But past that, I don't have much of a memory. But my feeling on Prime is like why it exists is it's like, think of the summer for sellers on Amazon, businesses on Amazon, as like a big desert, right? They're going through like a dry spell in the middle of the summer. It's hot. People are outside. They're not buying stuff except like sun hats and sunscreen. And of course, there's definitely products that are seasonal that do well in the summer. But in general, it's not a January. It's not a quarter 4. It's not a back to school. So I look at Prime Day as like this oasis in the desert, right? It was this area with the nice palm trees. Imagine the hammock. I know you like a good beach town. You've been to many of them all over Asia and Europe. Just imagine that, and you're in the hammock right there. It's the oasis. That's what Prime was. It was this little like boost of energy, this little like place to get a cold drink of water in the middle of that hot summer. And now it's like pumpkin spice Prime. We're going into like October Prime season. And I mean, it's cold here in France. It's like 8 degrees. I feel like I need a hot beverage or something, so maybe Prime is going to be like that for us now.
Yeah, the funny thing is, like, I hope that it's going to be sunny in Belgrade. Like previous days, it was really like nice weather, like spring weather, around 25 degrees Celsius. I didn't know. Like, I have a huge problem with Celsius and Fahrenheit, so I have no idea how.
I work Celsius now. I haven't used Fahrenheit. No, I'm talking about 9 Celsius. Yeah. No, it was 21 here yesterday, but today is not much colder.
Today's 7 here, and I checked. That's like 45 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like really bad. Yeah. And I wanted to start. The stream with like, oh, hello from sunny Belgrade. No, it's not going to happen. So
it wasn't happening. Yeah, well, maybe there's a lot of sun and light in Seattle where Amazon is, although I doubt it because that's a notoriously gray and rainy place too.
Yeah. So like one of the things that we did recently, we recorded one episode of our podcast. For guys that don't know, we have a podcast called Wild PPC Bunch, and like we don't want to go deep in that part. Like if you want to check, just go to the website or Facebook page. And like I think first or second episode ever that we made like was selling after Corona, and like I was pretty optimistic like that there is going to be one hit of like Corona or stuff like that, and like we're done with it, and like let's proceed with our stuff. So I went to LA like 2 weeks ago and stayed there for around 2 weeks, and like you can definitely see that Corona is a thing there. Like every country has a different stuff. I don't know what's going on in France, and like is it going to affect like overall sales on Prime Day in France?
If anything, I think that, well, let me just describe the kind of environment here right now. So I live in Montpellier in southern France, and during the first wave, so to speak, this area was not very badly affected. Southern France in general was not hit that bad. It was Paris and it was northeastern France, and parts other like small pockets here and there. This time around, we're like Nice, which is to the east of us here, Marseille, which is about an hour's drive east, maybe 70 kilometers, are like hotbeds of COVID activity. And now our city, in fact, is also like getting hit pretty hard. And the French president's going on TV tomorrow night at 8. And the speculation is he's going to talk about restrictions and like what the French call reconfinement. So we might be in like another sort of semi-lockdown starting from tomorrow. So I think if anything, are people more likely to start buying online like they did before? I would say yes. But then COVID, or rather Amazon faces their own challenges here in France because of just the general French attitude, like big American corporations, which I don't think is entirely misguided. And some of the fines that they've had levied against them recently, their treatment of workers in warehouses. There's a union they got in trouble with down south here that went to court in Paris. So I think we're in for like a bumpy ride here with Amazon in particular. But a lot of our clients do not sell in France. Most of them are UK, Germany, US, Canada. But we do have a pretty good amount of like European sellers, but they're not like our biggest accounts. So we'll see some of that fluctuation.
Yeah, I completely understand, and like I'm pretty sure that sales on online are going to skyrocket even more in the future. Like Amazon or any other platform in the future, like it's going to be huge. And like I checked on the internet this year, like online sales skyrocketed for like I don't know which percentage, but like it didn't go up that much like in the last 10-15 years, like because everybody already has the internet, like everybody is used to buying online and everything, and like it needs to get something huge to happen to increase the sales online. And like obviously some bad stuff are happening, and like I understand Amazon's perspective because of like exponential growth because of the situation. Like they didn't ask for it, and like but it's happening and it's doing pretty well for them. And I remember
sure. I mean, famously, like Jeff Bezos, everyone always kind of uses him as a punching bag, which, he's the richest man in the world. I think it's fair. But, he got divorced from his wife and he lost like some huge amount of money. But then COVID came and the company like increased in value and he like made it back in like 12 weeks or something. That was like $40 billion, like some dumb amount like that. And
there was a post saying that he made like 13 billion in a day, which is huge. So that's pretty insane thing.
Someone told me a joke the other day. It says, how does Jeff Bezos save up for a Lamborghini?
Oh yeah, I know that one.
He says, wait, I'm going to save up for a Lamborghini. Oh, I'm done.
That's really good. But that's true. Like March and April, they hired like 280,000 people or something like that to work in warehouses. Like that's a huge increase. That's happening
in France. They're hiring. I saw a job post and some news about them hiring in the UK. They're building 2 centers there, one in Scotland, one in England. And actually, I read a really interesting piece in the New York Times like 2 weeks ago Italy, which is like definitely a country that we have a decent amount of accounts with. We have 2 Italians on the team, and they handle those for the most part. But like I would say that's there with Spain, like not exactly one of the biggest marketplaces that we like deal with. But we saw, and this bears out in the data too. If I didn't do the hard work of filtering it down before the call, but it's estimated that Italy saw like a 75% increase in online usage because, like in general, I'm making some generalizations here. Pardon to any Italians on the call, but like not as not as high like tech penetration in the country. Like internet usage, people are not as used to shopping online. People are far more attached to, I think, local businesses and stuff that's more like in the Italian economy. Not so much like, yet again, large American corporation. And people don't trust it, buying stuff online, putting their credit card in. But it saw a huge amount of adoption during COVID. And the article is basically like, e-commerce in America maybe jumped ahead 5-6 years, but e-commerce in Italy during that same period, and they were famously hit really hard during that initial wave. Like they were the European country everybody was talking about in terms of like cases and everything. It went up by like 10 years. People said, it pushed ahead 10 years in Italy. Now like things are totally different. And the younger generations are teaching the older ones like, look, Amazon's convenient. They interviewed some like 20-year-old girl in there and she's like, I use Amazon like all the time. I taught my grandma how to do it. It's like interesting to see the attitudes changing in these cultures. And then what the impact on our end with the actual ad spend and sales has been better over the past couple months.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm pretty sure because of like the current situation and what's going on, Amazon is definitely going to speed up researches and that kind of stuff. So like in a manner like how to improve delivery, how to speed up delivery, how to like do it without people. Like, to be honest, I never saw a delivery robot. If you ever saw it like that, that's a pretty cool thing. Like I was walking around like in LA and like there was like small guy like the size of Wall-E, like from the cartoon, and I was like, oh, what's this? And it said like it had like delivery, like something like that. And I don't even think it was Amazon. It was probably like postal service or something. And it was
for some other service.
Yeah. But it was really cool, and I was like, okay, this is going to happen, and like it's going to be more frequent in the future.
Yeah. Well, there's already so many robots in Amazon's warehouses that I guess they just have to make like consumer-facing, friendlier ones that drive around on sidewalks and stuff, which is obviously a much bigger challenge, and also from the societal acceptance standpoint. I heard they got cleared for the drones. Like they can have those delivery drones.
Oh yeah, I heard that as well. That's going to be crazy.
Totally wild stuff.
Yeah, imagine just like sitting on your terrace and like looking drones like flying around and delivering stuff.
And you have like a big circle in your backyard. It's like H, like a helipad. Part of it is D, drone.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a bit too much for me. I think I would like move to a countryside or something. If I like would sit and look like at like 50 drones an hour to pass by, I would be like,
you could still have package deliveries though in the countryside. The drones would be the most efficient way to do it. So you have that big patch of grass in your front yard. They just plop right down, and you'd be set.
Yeah, that's also a good point. Okay, I didn't think about it. I didn't work on that one.
I give you a box of video games like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. But to be honest, I'm buying like digital video games. I'm never buying like physical copies, and like we're trying to be like eco-friendly in the office. Like,
well, I mean, digital's the way to go. Just use Steam or whatever. In fact, well, I'm not sure if this is off topic, but have you tried this game Among Us? Have you heard about this?
No, maybe I should Google it after.
On our team, we're gonna buy it. We're gonna play it as a team, and really excited to see. Yeah. And you can play it on iOS or iPad or computer. It's like very cross-platform. I've been seeing all these memes about it online, and three people on the team, including myself, we had an idea like, oh, we should buy this and try it as a team. Up to 10 players. So there you go.
Yeah, at one point when it comes to like video games and team, when Corona started and we had like full lockdown for like a couple of weeks and like
things are serious this area. You guys had really serious lockdown.
Yeah, but it ended up having like really like small amount of numbers now. You know, like we don't have hundreds or thousands of people with virus, but that's not the point. Like the point is like during that huge lockdown, everybody was sitting at home and like we're so nervous about that. And like I remember I just finished conference in Prague. You were there as well,
right.
And I needed to stay locked for 28 days, and I was so bored. Like apart from work, like. I didn't do anything but eat and work, and like that's it. And
right. I remember we recorded an episode, and you were in the bedroom at the house, and then Yana was elsewhere. But you guys, you're trying to stay out of each other's way because it's tough being, confined together in a space that small for that long. Yeah, that's difficult, especially when you're on calls as much as you and I are. We're always talking to somebody, a team member, or a prospect, or a friend of the business, whatever.
Yeah, and I know that Melissa Simonson used the same video game that we did. It was like Party Pack, Jack in the Box or something like that. Party Pack.
Yeah.
From 1 to 1 billion like parts of the game. So like we were playing it like as a team together, like during Corona. That was a pretty crazy one.
That's a fun one too.
We went like fully off topic. I'm pretty sure like people are like. And we're now listening to
who's in the live stream? Can I see the people? Who's in here? How many people we got? I see we have Vadim commented.
We have people that like the thing
one
is
comment so far.
Not bad, especially because we had like that drop from the previous link. So and like I'm pretty happy how this thing turns out, and like everything will be, because like we didn't have a lot of time to make all of this. So like guys, if
we made it happen though. We always have something to talk about.
Yeah, we made it happen in like less than a week.
Tell me what do you think? What are your predictions for differences? Because we're supposed to talk about this, right? What's the difference between this year and last year with Prime? What are your predictions?
Well, it's going to be way more challenging for Amazon when it comes to infrastructure and everything. People are going to spend, like sellers are going to spend more on advertising. It's going to become more expensive. Like 100% is going to be like that, especially because like I don't know, but like, did you think about Black Friday and Cyber Monday? Like Cyber Monday is obviously online, but Black Friday is also in physical stores. And this year, I'm not really sure that people are gonna go that often to the stores. And like,
that's a great point. I mean, think about, let's just put on our American hats for a minute. A lot of people crowding into a Walmart, all bumping and grinding against each other at like 5 a.m. to get the newest like PlayStation or whatever. And like half of them are wearing masks, half of them aren't. It's going to be a total cluster. And I would try to avoid that. I mean, I've avoided that in past years anyway, like when I was living in America, because I just didn't need to buy something that badly. But you always see those stories in the news that's like 4 people trampled at like Walmart in like Florida. It's always Florida. Like, and I think that is going to be less common.
There's a joke about Florida.
It's true.
Like when you Google
there's
something.
A lot of jokes about Florida, man. And they're all true. No, but in all seriousness, I think people are going to opt out of that, and they're just going to say, "No, I'm going to order online." Now, one thing I think that we're not having considered is like, Best Buy and these other stores that are electronics sellers or Target, and then they also saw a huge bump during COVID, but it was in online sales and in-store pickup. So you can order stuff and then you drive up with your car, you pop your trunk, a person comes out, and I'm assuming they're using PPE, and they load it in your car and you drive away. I think like those companies, if they were smart, they like shifted into that model pretty quickly. But I think that they also faced fulfillment challenges like Amazon did in terms of sending things to people, but it wasn't like as publicly talked about because it's strange. But like when Prime goes from 48 hours or a day in, New York City to like a month, it makes like national news in the US. Everyone's like, oh my God, but I wonder if Amazon has conditioned people to think like, okay, virus equals huge supply issues with Amazon equals constraints with shipping time. So maybe people are habituated to that now. And when they order something, let's say today on Prime, and it's set to show up in 3 weeks, maybe they're not so shocked by it. I don't know.
Yeah, and also like whole this situation this year made sellers think about doing FBM as well, at least like optional one, or just to rent a warehouse somewhere and place goods there, and like to have some like a steady and stable like warehouse like apart from Amazon, so like they can provide to Amazon warehouse more frequently, like smaller batches and that kind of stuff. Like remember at some point they didn't like take new stuff, and they even like removed frequently bought together option on the website so they can like slow down sales, which is like insane thing to do. Like it
was the first time we ever saw ad impressions drop so drastically because they took out a lot of those ad slots on the product detail pages. Do you remember that? And so what happened was a bunch of our click-through rates for that couple month period went like sky high. We were like, what's happening? Click-through rates are amazing. And the answer was, they just took off a bunch of the ad slots on the product detail page. And that was why. And then they re-added them, and then things were back to normal a couple months later.
Yeah, it's like, if you show up there, you're going to be clicked on. So
I mean, it does work. That's why it's there. But they were like, we don't want to, put more of a burden on the system than already is. So they left it out. Yeah. I mean, you can imagine them taking even more extreme restrictions with advertising if things got really, 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 really bad. Like, what if they were just like, all right, no more sponsored brands. we're gonna turn off most sponsored products and forget sponsored display. Advertising down to a minimum. We'd be out of a job there for a month or two. So I hope they don't do it.
Imagine that. Imagine that, especially since you mentioned sponsored brands and like platforms. I saw your post and like for guys that don't know, Brent are you an admin there or like moderator or like he's basically important guy in Amazon PPC 100 consultant group.
For what? So, sorry, your voice dropped out for a second, Laza.
Oh, okay. Like you're part of Amazon PPC 100 consultants group, and like I remember that you mentioned, like I saw your post today about AMS and like, is it really dying or not? Like, can you hear me, Brent?
Your voice is pretty choppy. You still coming through? Oh, okay, you're better now.
I don't know what's the problem. Like,
okay, you're good. You're good.
Okay, good. Okay, so like I saw your post today about AMS dying as a platform, like advertising platform.
Yeah,
and like that's one of.
What'd you think of that?
I think it's pretty much true. Like they're merging everything together, and like I'm like finally, and they did a lot of stuff this year when it comes to changes. Like if you compare what Amazon changed in PPC world for like 2 years ago, and what are the changes that they did this year? This year they were doing like every month more than like they did for a year previously. So
I think that's true. Yeah, every quarter was like more than 2018 in total, or like even part of 2019. I mean, just look at the advancements we have with sponsored brands for all the features and all the things like negative keywords finally, and like search term reports, putting it at parity, and then all the new things they added like video and store spotlight, things like that. Yeah, it's been such a good year for Amazon advertising. Not such a good year for the rest of things with the world, but really, really good for us in Amazon advertising in terms of features and new stuff. So I'm positive about that for sure.
Yeah, for PPC specialists, it was definitely more challenging, like for sellers, obviously, as well. But for PPC specialists, like you needed to learn more. And like that's basically a really good thing, and I'm pretty sure that like every team member that you have, and like also including my team members, like these guys really want like to learn all the time about like PPC and that kind of stuff. Like they're super passionate about what they're doing. And like this year is really good for every single one of them for that, just because like it's giving them so much to learn and to test. And like I think this year is really big with DSP as well. Like
for
people
sure.
are doing DSP a lot.
And that was one of the points I made in the post about AMS. It's like, who needs another thing to check? And, you know, when I say AMS, I mean the accounts that were formerly AMS that are now Advertising Console, but not those that came from Seller Central, the ones that are actually from the old school AMS. It's like, who needs another thing to check? You know, let's get rid of this AMS. We have DSP now to worry about. We have, you know, 7 different marketplaces for some clients. Like, there's all these other things to worry about, you know, different tools we use that pull on that data. Just get it out of there.
It's becoming big. Like when you look at stuff, like if your account is not transferred to a new platform when it comes to advertising, so you probably still have Seller Central, you have advertising, Amazon advertising interface, you have DSP. Like if you're a really big seller and you want to do everything.
Attribution, I know you're a fan of that.
Attribution, DSP, like video in search platform, which is not self-service but done by Amazon. Like that's something that happened before of like videos that we were having in sponsor brand ads. Like it was more or less just like DSP. You also needed to like invest $35K a month to do videos back then.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. I never logged into that. And some of our clients also use Vendor Central to some extent, but we don't manage ads from there because there's no facility to do so. That's all moved to AC now, at least.
Yeah, and imagine like working on 10 different platforms times the amount of like countries that you're selling in. Like you need a really big team to work on everything there. Like if you're going to work straight from the interface. And like I'm pretty sure that there is no software that is covering all of them, like including attribution and DSP and like standard variations of advertising and so on. So it's pretty challenging for PPC specialists to cover everything. And what I'm seeing now in our team, we are like getting people that are specialized in only like one ad type. Like, like we're not having team members that are like really awesome at DSP and like they're working really hard on sponsor product ads. Like if you're doing DSP, like you're a DSP guy here and like you're going to cover that part. Like obviously you're going to work closely with other team members, but you're going to be there to cover one option. Like
yeah, that's a cool approach. I see the benefits to that as well.
Yeah, it's a bit different. Yeah, obviously we're always moving away from the topic here, but yeah.
Hey, speaking of your team, I see them here on the stream.
Yeah, sure.
Are you guys going to get together and do like a conga line or like a dance party or something later on to, you know, get the circulation going in the legs and wake up a little bit?
I just want to say that like we're socially responsible and we're keeping social distances, and like you can see like both offices don't look like that. Like people are like usually around like if there is no corona, but because of corona we needed to like break like further and like to have like 6 feet like distance between people and so on.
Yeah. Well, what if you just put rakia on everyone and it's alcohol, it disinfects, and then you don't have a problem with corona. It's good. I thought that's how you guys beat it so quickly in Serbia. I thought you just poured rakia on everything and then like, no more corona, it's gone.
And it's like bam, it's all good. Well,
Pop salt. Dust the hands off, call it a day.
Yeah, well, we do have that kind of disinfections, but after work, you know, we're not doing it like during our work. Oh, by the way, I think like I figured out like I'm constantly ripping like the cable from the headphones. Like I called Danny McMillan to help me before the stream, because if somebody is a good streamer, Danny McMillan is a good streamer. So I was like, Danny, can you please help me with like the stream and everything, like if the setup is correct and everything.
Well, he's also got those acoustic panels. Like that's one thing I lack in here. I have a big.
He's pro. He's pro.
He comes from radio. He knows what he's doing. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So. Yeah. So cool. So he told me like never.
So I want you to tell me something. I want you to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, never use Bluetooth. Always go wired. I got wired mic and wired headphones here. Yeah, don't mess with Bluetooth. So I have a question. What is your secret sauce at Seller's Alley this year for Prime? What are your pro moves you guys are using to try to maximize outcomes here in the next 48 hours?
Oh, that's a good one. Like, thank you for asking me that. That's a good.
Why is it top secret? Is it?
No, it's not a top
proprietary?
secret. No, it's not a top secret, but it's more or less like for each client separately, depending on stock levels, depending on current strategy, and so on. Like obviously, all of the clients are having different challenges at different times, and at this point, like obviously, we are going to try to invest as much as possible and to get as much as possible, but like to invest smart, like not to burn money for no reason and that kind of stuff. So. And also, as I said, like depending on the amount of units that clients have in stock, we had a bunch of calls before the Prime Days. We went through all of the strategies with them, and like we decided which one we should follow. As you know, like Prime Day and like those big days during the year are the ones that are the most challenging, basically, because like when you work in the interface, you don't see sales because of the 72-hour discrepancy. And like first time when I moved from Google to Amazon, that was one of the biggest challenges that I had. Like I was so scared to see money like going away without any sales coming. And interesting thing is like there are big sellers now as well that are always checking like today's results, and like one of them, like I had a conversation and he said like I told him like there is 72-hour discrepancy. Why are you doing it? Like it's not a real number, and he was like but I'm comparing bad numbers over days. Like it's like having a scale that is not working properly, but you're still like standing on it every morning and checking your weight. And like, even though it's not right, and like, that you're losing weight or you're increasing your weight. That's the whole idea. I'm losing you a bit. Brent. It seems like that we lost Brent.
Hello.
We lost you for a second. I was so like, is this stream having problem or not?
You're really impassioned there. No, my Wi-Fi is good and no problems here. It stayed stable.
Yeah, so I logged in from my phone just to like compare.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I can see myself. Like I was using different like Wi-Fi, and I wanted to compare, like, and I saw that you're not there. It doesn't matter. You're here now. That's the important part.
Back.
Yay! Yeah. Here's the rest of the guys. So yeah, basically, as I mentioned, we decided to go with like shifts instead of like doing like you have a really good like setup with people from different countries working in different time zones, which is also a great idea.
Yeah.
And for us, it's like as a team is like everybody's more or less our age, and like, and I'm pretty sure in your team as well. Like, have you ever seen a guy that is doing PPC and he got retired because like he's too old?
I guess usually people move up the kind of management chain. At that point, they turn into managers and bosses and stuff after a certain time doing it. I mean, we have people on our team who are in their 40s, for sure, but we also have people in their early 20s. I guess we're pretty wide age range in that way.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. So yeah, what we were talking about before, like the internet situation.
I don't remember. Maybe the audience can remind us.
And we were talking about age, and so that's basically it.
We were dancing around the delicate subject of age. Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess what happens to people in the industry for a long time. So you were saying that it's okay if people work in shifts, even if it's in the middle of the night, because they don't have like a family responsibility. Essentially, is that what you meant?
I didn't go in that direction, but it makes a lot of sense as well. Everybody, nobody was forced to do it. They decided to do it on their own, obviously, sure. And so on. And to be honest, we have really nice team culture, and we have food Fridays, and
that's what I'm going to visit then when I come to Belgrade next. I'm going to come on a Friday.
Well, yeah, definitely. And
I'll just show up and be like, all right, where's the sarma?
And the funny part is they after work they created Food Friday to become Mojito Friday, and I met Vince from Helium 10 the other day in LA, and I remember I was doing elite workshop for them regarding, I don't even remember the topic. It was about which metric is the most important one and that kind of stuff. Is it okay to have high ACUS and that kind of stuff? And we went super in depth for 2 hours about should ACUS be high and higher than normal, and when you're doing product launches and that kind of stuff. It was really in depth, and we had as I mentioned, Food Friday converted into Mojito Friday that day, and it was because of the time zone differences, everybody was super drunk in my team. It was Friday and it was midnight, and they didn't want to go home. They wanted to stay in the office just to party together. And I was okay, thank you so much for doing it while I'm having a call.
And you were trying to do the serious stream and everything.
Yeah, I was so serious, and I was well, I we once did similar topic on our podcast, and
we did.
Yeah,
we were fully sober, and it was in the morning our time.
Yeah, that's a good timing to do it.
Yeah,
so
it's tough at midnight, man.
Yeah, and when I finished, I opened the door and they were waiting for me with cocktails, and I was "What the hell are you doing, guys?" And they were we felt so bad because you couldn't drink while the others were, and I was okay, this is I should stop now about talking about my team members drinking on Friday evening. So.
Well, you did mention they have good company culture, which is super important. And in fact, I wanted to ask you: do you guys use Slack, right, for your main communication? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot.
Do you have any specific things you do in Slack that are team building or fun exercises or something like that?
Well, when it comes to team buildings, we have a chef coming to us once a month, and we cook together. And in the office, we have table tennis, and we have darts, we have we have Xbox and that kind of stuff. So it's basically fun to be in the office here, and that's why.
It sounds very Web 2.0, early days at Twitter kind of thing.
Yeah, it's more IT company rather than marketing agency. So, but it's definitely a lot of fun.
Oh man, that sounds great.
We have Sharon reaching out. She's going to talk, I think, today. Hello, Sharon. As she mentioned, that's the thing that I talked about, when you check your scale and you're checking your weight every day, and the scale is not correct and it's not showing the right number. You can still see that you're losing weight. Just let's imagine you're weight 70 kilos in in my dreams for me. But like, let's say that you're at 70 kilos and like that scale shows that you're like 68 or something, and like you lost 2 kilos, and that's perfect. And like you're going in the right direction in case you wanted to lose some weight. But like it doesn't really matter if it's like 2.5 or it's like 1.5 or exactly 2, but like you're going in the right direction, you're not adding above. So that's one of the reasons why people like double check everything at once.
Because I like to see the trend. I mean, there's leading indicators and there's lagging indicators, right? So maybe for someone looking at spend and saying, all right, we spent $700 this time yesterday, but today we did 1,000. And, you know, maybe that's like the leading indicator for them, right?
Yeah. But definitely, I would always recommend to wait for 72 hours to see all the data. And
thank you, Sharon.
Brian, yeah, thank you, Sharon. Like, I feel really old now because of
Hey, a lot of pressure on this live stream. We got 5 people watching.
Yeah, no, dude, like it's increasing. Like I didn't know where you're looking at the stream, but
oh no, I don't see a number anywhere. But I'm happy to hear.
Really? Oh, okay. We have around 20 people now. Like since we started talking, like through all
nice,
like bunch of different channels. Like Yana was kind enough to share our stream link to Wild P Translations, and we have obviously our Wild PPC bunch. See Anna, what she's doing. Well, yeah, I said active. Like, yeah, I asked like how many people we have, and she said like no. See, yeah, we have Julia as well. So basically, all of the listeners are the speakers. You know.
Hi, Julia.
No, this is so terrible. But okay, well, at least people like one day when decide to listen to this like live stream, obviously it's not going to be live, they're going to see that like people from that we have a really nice community of people. And like I'm really missing, I don't know about you, I'm really missing our conferences.
Man, I can't actually think of something I miss more than the conferences, because that's been such a big part of my social life the past like 5 years being in the Amazon world, and just in the EU and a couple really in North America. But like I had so many places I planned to go this year in so many countries, and I was like so disappointed when everything was canceled, everything was moved. I mean, Seller Sessions London, looking forward to that immensely. Conference in Estonia. Was going to go to Israel, like all these places, and maybe speak at some of them, which is, you know, challenging, but also really engaging. And yeah, didn't get any of that in. You know, what a shame! Like such a disappointment.
Terrible.
And, yeah, it's been awful because like, you know, a lot of my best friends and people I know are in this industry. Like, you know, you being a great example. It's like, yeah, we talk like all the time. Sometimes about work, but not always. And like, it's just great to have that connection. And now I don't get to see those people in real life, and it's heartbreaking. I'm really not a fan, you know?
Yeah, definitely. We're having Augustus, I think today or tomorrow, and he's going to talk. Oh, he's tomorrow, 9 a.m. PST or 6 p.m. Belgrade time. So it's Central European time. Mm-hmm. So like Danny once mentioned that it's basically like a family reunion, which is pretty much true because like I'm always having so much fun when we're having like those conferences. And it's like seeing 20 people, like same group of people every like 2 or 3 weeks or
just
a
different
month.
City, different context. Yeah. So what's a family reunion? Who's the drunk uncle then?
Probably me. I don't know. Our Ty is doing pretty well with that as well, you know.
Okay, yeah, he can help out. Yeah, he was at the one in Prague. That's the last time I saw you and a bunch of other people, unfortunately. Yeah. But that was such a good one, and I feel like Augustus and his team really handled that like absolute champions. You know, credit to him and everyone at his team there, because that was like a very, very tough situation, and they did a great job with it.
Oh my God, it was so challenging. Like
so
having
tough.
A conference and like rules changing every couple of hours.
Yeah, every couple of hours. Yeah, it was like, are we going to do this? Oh, we suddenly can't. It just changed thanks to the. I mean, the Czech government was very serious about their lockdown and stuff. They weren't joking around. So
I literally left Czech Republic on like last plane going away from Czech Republic, and
Well, you guys stayed over the weekend. I booked a plane like 5 hours late, like after I bought the ticket, and I got back to Paris barely, and then they locked down France a couple of days later.
I was this close. I was this close to rent a place for a month because like everybody was leaving Czech Republic because of Corona and everything. Yeah. I was like, this is a good timing to rent like really nice apartment for like really small amount of money. And like I was trying to convince Jana to do it, and eventually eventually we decided not to, just because like we didn't know what's going to happen, and like we both have families in Serbia, and like we wanted to be absolutely sure that like if there is a problem that we can jump in or whatever. Like it's a crazy world, like
Yeah, and it hasn't calmed down much since, at least not in some countries.
It's getting better for e-commerce. That's good.
That's true. Yeah, it's kind of strange, but in a way, our industry has benefited so tremendously, and a lot of our clients had some initial kind of fluctuations, but after those have seen incredibly good months and huge performance, like back to back to back to back. And they're not selling masks or whatever. They have products that are totally unrelated, yet they're still conducive to the kind of
like environment. Do-it-yourself category and that kind of stuff.
Oh, sure, whatever. Yeah, anything related to that.
Self-improvement,
gardening, self-improvement stuff, gym stuff, games, all kinds of stuff. These things are all blown up.
Like 20% of all sellers like did super good starting March. And like it was insanely good until one point they got out of stock, and they had problems like restocking and getting products back in stock. So they had
because they hadn't planned for March to be their biggest month of the year. Why would anyone think that? It's typically March and February, the deserts.
I literally have a client that like when he was doing an order, he added 1 extra in his order, and like his financial team purchased the product because like they're like, okay, the guy wanted this amount, like who are we to judge him? So they bought like 10 times more, and he managed to sell everything during March and April. And he was
That's a crazy story.
And he was like, this is how we did it. Yeah,
I'm glad I released that. I'm glad I released that virus I found in that bag on the street in China. It said "Do not open," and I just opened it, and
yeah, like those bats.
Those bats, man. Those bats flying around.
No. Yeah, so that was crazy. For 80% of sellers, I think it was like the most stressful time in their lives.
Oh, for me too. I was worried I had to lay some people off or something, but none of that happened. We actually hired more people since. It's all been good.
Yeah, like when Corona started, we had like 50% of team members comparing to what we have now. And like first month was so stressful for our clients, and like obviously it's stressful for clients, it's stressful for us as well. So like we tried to help a lot to our clients that had problems during that period and so on, and like it resulted like having like one rough month. And after that, it was like absolutely crazy, and it skyrocketed in every direction.
Yeah, I remember talking to you about that during that time period. That was some intense stuff. But it felt a little bit like the walls were closing in for a minute, but then pretty quickly it turned around, and I feel really fortunate to be in the position that I'm in now. And thank my lucky stars for it.
Yeah. So, are you aware that we're talking for an hour now?
Oh, you and I can always talk for hours. We have no problem with that. Keeping on topic is the hard part.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. What I was thinking, like, well, since I don't think like I don't want to push you to talk further, because as I said,
next to come in?
Next one at 2 p.m. Central European or 5 a.m. PST is Mike Zagare. You know the guy?
I do. Yeah.
Cool.
He's part of the PPC 100 group. He's someone I've met at a conference, I think, once, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of people like today, and after him we have another Wild PPC bunch member. Stefan.
Ah, nice.
Yeah,
Very cool.
and today we have Sean
Maybe
Smith
I'll
as
tune
well.
in for that one. Oh, nice,
Yeah,
nice.
like if you feel like joining like any of the conversations, just jump in. Like I'm pretty sure that people won't have anything in mind like to jump in.
Maybe I'll just leave some comments in the channel.
Yeah,
I gotta
like
get back to Prime stuff here too myself. You know.
Inappropriate ones, please.
No, keep it all PC. We gotta do good here.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you so much, man, for all the information and everything about Prime. Oh, by the way, like, is there anything that you would like to advise people that are selling now and like that are on Prime Day?
Haven't really thought much about that. I would say if you don't have an agency kind of managing your bids and everything, be checking your budgets and stuff on a regularly scheduled basis throughout the day. If you're doing really well with sales and ads are operating well, as far as you can tell from the sales being that same day, obviously there's a lag like we talked about. But if you're getting a lot of sales, all the leading indicators are positive. Try your hardest not to run out of budget. I think that's probably one of the guidelines I would say. And be selective about what you're advertising. If you have a coupon or a lightning deal, push more spend to that. If you have something that has low inventory or you're not really promoting it, don't bother. So be selective. Don't just raise bids on everything.
Yeah, that's a really good one. That's a really good one.
Past that? No, not really.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us and like making this live stream even more cool, if it's even possible to be cooler than this. So, yeah.
Well, I'm trying to kick it off on a good foot, man. So your next guests have to beat me. I don't think it's gonna be too hard, but have a good one.
Well, the next guest did something really cool for I think Christmas last year. That was a big one. Were you part of it?
I was. Yeah.
I think a lot of
us thing. Yeah.
Golden Nuggets. It was really cool. I feel like that we didn't raise enough money for the cause, but like the idea was good and like the intention was really cool.
You got a lot of people into it too. It was quite a lineup. So
yeah. So basically, in an hour, if you don't have anything smarter to do, you can listen to us and like hear what's going on and Mike's Slut. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much, man, for the talk.
Yeah, sure thing. It's been good.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.